There's joy in Cleveland. Since 1964, they haven't had a championship of anything. And suddenly, the Cleveland Cavaliers did it. Behind LeBron James, who is a phenomenon. 2 of the games, he scored 41 points. He is an unbelievable athlete. And there's the joy as they beat a team that they should have lost to, and there is LeBron crying and thanking the Lord or whatever he's doing, but he was overwhelmed with emotion. An amazing, amazing victory, and we salute Cleveland. I know they've got the Cleveland Clinic, but that's not the same thing as a sports team.
No, they are celebrating. What a game. And they made history last night.
Well, of course they did, but to come from behind. He had 2 games as they were coming back with 41 points in each game. The guy is incredible. I mean, he went into the pros right out of high school. I mean, and he's just, I mean, but anyhow.
Good for them.
He has an incredible work ethic. But he was down in Miami, and everybody offered him stuff, and he decided to come back to Cleveland. And so the people of Cleveland are, I'm sure, rejoicing that they have this star in their midst. Wendy, what do we have?
Well, basketball season is over now. But today, good news, is the first official day of summer. Heat records are already breaking in the Southwest with days of triple-digit temperatures there. And as Ephraim Graham reports, the heat wave has unfortunately turned deadly.
People across the Southwest are enduring a miserable Monday after Sunday temperatures broke records and soared above 115 degrees. And forecasts for Southeast California and portions of Arizona.
The record 115, expecting to hit 118.
The unbearable heat has many turning to social media, posting photos of the boiling hot temperature readings on their car thermometers as well as their cell phones.
We don't have earthquakes, tornadoes, or hurricanes, but the heat is our disaster.
In Phoenix, Arizona, this 25-year-old Anthony Catella died Saturday, hiking in the extreme heat with a friend. They ran out of water. Then, early Sunday morning, a 28-year-old woman became unresponsive while mountain biking with friends. Firefighters managed to rescue her, but she died at the hospital. The weather's deadly reality even has children paying attention to the warning signs.
When you're dehydrated, your head starts hurting, then you can't do anything. But when you drink water, that prevents from you getting a headache.
Triple-digit heat in Phoenix forced some airlines to delay incoming flights Sunday because at 120 degrees, the air is so thin it creates lift problems for airplanes. A heat wave from Southern California to Missouri is bearing down on more than 50 million Americans.
We're still looking at above normal temperatures, potentially right through the end of the month.
On top of that, raging wildfires. More than a dozen large infernos are now burning across 6 states, including a fire in New Mexico, where at least 24 homes have been lost. Flames have scorched nearly 2 million acres this year already, compared to only 500,000 at the same time last year. Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Well, if you read the Bible, you see that the end of it is going to be with fiery heat. I hope this isn't the end, but this is powerful hot. I was jogging out in Phoenix a few years ago at 108 degrees, and your body does funny things. Unfortunately, I didn't go very long. I would have had heat exhaustion. But Wendy was out in Vegas doing hiking just recently.
I flew out for an interview about a week ago, and I flew in. It was 110 degrees when I got off the airplane. You could barely breathe. Yeah. And I'd already planned my hiking for the next day, and I thought, please God. Yeah. I mean, plus it's the elevation. We're at sea level here. Yeah. So I was hiking. Fortunately, it came down to 90 degrees, so I was hiking in 90-degree weather. But water, I feel so bad for the hiker that didn't make it because they ran out of water. I mean, it's desert hiking, and those kind of, you've got to continually drink water while you're hiking.
When I was wondering, I wasn't sweating. Well, I was sweating, but it immediately, and you're not aware of it, and suddenly heat prostration takes you. But 120 degrees, oh man, our best wishes to those. And what's happening is this global warming thing, I'm really not into all that. But there are areas where the ice is melting and the sea level is rising, and we here in this area where we live in Norfolk, Virginia, and so forth, it is very subject to tidal flooding and a little bit more of this stuff, and some areas are going to be underwater. Well, in other news, could we see a shocking change at the Supreme Court? Oh, please, not yet. John Jessup has that story.
Pat, Justice Clarence Thomas, one of the reliably conservative votes on the court, is considering retiring after the presidential election in November. The Washington Examiner reports court watchers say it's something Thomas has been considering for a while because he never planned to stay on the bench until he died. If he does step down, it would have a major impact on the balance of the court, as the next president already is expected to immediately replace the seat left open by the death of conservative Justice Antonin Scalia. And if Thomas leaves, that would give either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton the chance to replace two of the leading conservative justices on the high court. Pat?
They've been a 5-4 swing on so many votes. Right now, with Scalia dead and out, it's been 4-4, and so they're deadlocked on a number of issues. But if Clarence Thomas goes, he came down here to Regent University. He's a very nice man. We had a good long talk about certain of the issues, and he is just a tremendous scholar and a wonderful conservative, and he's a constitutionalist, as was Scalia. And to have the two of them leave and to be replaced by people who think that the Constitution is a living document that depends on the whims of the majority and the sociological impact at any given time, it would be devastating to jurisprudence. So this gives you one more reason to pray about this coming election. John?
Pat, Donald Trump says the United States should fight terrorism by profiling Muslims already living in the country. On CBS's Face the Nation, Trump said, "I hate the concept of profiling, but we have to start using common sense." He says in the age of international terrorism, it's a matter of choosing common sense over political correctness. Trump also has proposed temporarily banning foreign Muslims from entering the U.S. Well, gun control is the issue in the Senate today after last week's 15-hour filibuster in the wake of the deadly Orlando shooting. Senators are set to vote tonight on 4 measures, 2 sponsored by Democrats and 2 by Republicans. Democrats want to expand background checks and ban gun sales to suspected terrorists. But Republicans say the amendments threaten the rights of gun owners. Instead, Senate Republicans plan to bring their own alternatives to the table. But, Pat, both sides are expected to block each other's proposals.
You know, it's an amazing thing. This guy was radicalized by Muslim ideology. The president will not use the term Muslim extremist or Islamic extremist. He will not do it. And yet people wonder, well, why are these people this way? Well, according to one narrative, it's because of all the terrible things America's done. No, they are radicalized because that is their religion. You read the Quran is clear. It is clear. And they go into these radical mosques and they hear these radical imams preaching hate day after day after day. And the next thing you know, they're strapping bombs on themselves and blowing themselves up. So this is, it's horrible to contemplate. And the whole idea of fighting World War II and not naming the Nazis as our enemy because we might offend some people, it's crazy. But what Trump says about the idea that you would profile people, potential terrorists, I know it's repugnant to think of profiling, but at the same time, we have to do something, and that's the best way. It isn't guns that kill people, it's people who kill people. And the idea that every time one of these things happen, then you've got a big speech on gun control. They've got so many guns already, millions and millions of guns. Gun control will not stop any of these shootings. There are plenty of guns out there. It's a question of taking the guns away from the law-abiding people and leaving them with the criminals. John?
Pat, in other news, Christian radio station K-Love recently held their fan award ceremony in Nashville. Angela Zatopek brings us the highlights from the top artists to the top worship song of the year to the Christian athlete with the biggest impact on sports.
The hot topic of faith in media continues to trend, and one major faith outlet that's buzzing the airwaves is K-Love Radio.
We traveled to the Grand Ole Opry, catching the radio network's fan awards, honoring artists and athletes that bring that message of faith.
We're going to have a great time tonight, aren't we?
The night was hosted by singer Matthew West and former Fox News host Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
I'm that mom sitting in my car in traffic about to lose my mind, and you know, K-Love comes on with just the right song, and it's beyond moving to be able to be up there and co-host with Matthew West, who's brilliant, and just celebrate.
Listen, we grew up listening to Christian music, and I know in my house, and I know it's the case in his as well, that K-Love's always on the radio.
With fans voting on the winners, artists shared their hearts on why they make it a point to sing for God's glory.
Best lyrics, I'll tell you what, I think that's one thing that separates Christian music from the rest of the music out in the world.
Grammy-winning Switchfoot performed, announcing their 10th album about to release.
I am always excited to talk about my faith, and we've always been very upfront with what we believe. But at the same time, we approach it with humility. You know, we don't have all the answers, and the way I see it, doesn't matter whether you were in church on Sunday or not. Hope is available to you, and we want to make sure that we're singing these songs of hope. We believe hope deserves an anthem, and that's kind of why we do what we do.
Lauren Daigle walked away with both Best Artist of the Year and Best Female, Danny Gokey winning Best Male Artist. Another category fans voted on, Sports Impact, awarding former Major League Baseball player Adam LaRoche. He recently walked away from the Chicago White Sox with $13 million left on his contract. One of his main reasons, limitations on the amount of time his 14-year-old son could spend with him in the clubhouse.
I was going into my 13th year in the big leagues, and just really got in a spot where I had to choose baseball in my career or my son and my family, and you know, it turned out to be a pretty easy decision.
So what's in this next season for you? No pun intended.
You know what? Chasing kids. I finally get a little taste of what my wife's been going through all those years.
The night ended with Chris Tomlin's Song of the Year on a packed stage. Opryland feeling more like a night of worship, with fans and artists together singing praise.
Almost everybody in the whole industry of Christian music that was here tonight was up on stage with me doing it, and it was pretty special.
As the music makers and storytellers, is that we sing songs and write songs and put them out into the world, that somebody who may be hanging at the end of their rope, they might hear a song and kind of just feel their grip on the end of that rope strengthened, and they can make it one more day.
From Nashville, I'm Angela Zanapek with CBN News.
Thanks, Angela. Pat, looks like they had a great time together in Nashville.
Like a party, and our congratulations. K-Love is a tremendous thing they're doing. It's a great radio station, but it's more than that. It's a, I don't know, network across the country. But anyhow, our hats off to K-Love.